The world is changing. The dawn of a new era is upon us, marked by shifting alliances and emerging powers. For decades, the United States dominated global affairs, shaping policies and influencing economies across the globe. Its influence was unparalleled, and its reach extended to every corner of the world. But a new group of countries is emerging, BRICS. This coalition is redefining the global landscape, bringing together diverse cultures and economies. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Each of these nations brings unique strengths and perspectives to the table. These 5 nations are major players on the world stage. Their cities are bustling hubs of activity, innovation and growth, reflecting their rising influence. They are home to billions of people and vast resources. From the crowded markets of India to the mining operations in Brazil, the factories in China and the natural landscapes of South Africa, these countries are rich in both human and natural capital. Together, they are challenging the old order. By collaborating and leveraging their collective strengths, they are creating new opportunities and redefining global power dynamics. The term BRIC was first coined in 2001 by economist Jim O'Neill. He saw the potential for these countries to reshape the global economy and predicted their rise to prominence. He predicted Brazil, Russia, India and China would have a huge impact on the global economy. His foresight has proven accurate, as these nations have experienced significant economic growth and development. In 2010, South Africa joined the group, adding another dimension to this powerful coalition. This inclusion marked the formal establishment of BRICS as a significant global entity. BRICS nations recognized their shared interests. They understood that by working together, they could amplify their voices and influence on the world stage. They wanted a bigger voice in international affairs. Their goal was to ensure that their perspectives and needs were considered in global decision-making processes. BRICS is not a formal alliance like NATO. It is a more flexible and informal grouping, allowing for diverse forms of cooperation and collaboration. But its members cooperate closely. They engage in various joint projects and initiatives, ranging from economic development to scientific research and cultural exchange. They hold annual summits to discuss shared goals. These meetings provide a platform for dialogue and coordination, helping to align their strategies and actions. These goals include promoting economic development and reforming global governance. They seek to create a more equitable and inclusive international system. The rise of BRICS reflects a broader shift in global power. This shift is characterized by the increasing influence of emerging economies and the declining dominance of traditional powers. The world is becoming more multipolar. Power is no longer concentrated in the hands of a few, but is distributed among many. Power is shifting away from the West. The rise of BRICS symbolizes the dawn of a new era, where diverse voices and perspectives shape the global agenda. BRICS. Nations are at the forefront of this change. They are leading the way in creating a more balanced and inclusive world order. They are shaping a new world order, one that is more diverse, multipolar and reflective of the realities of the 21st century. One that is more diverse and multipolar. The rise of BRICS is a testament to the power of collaboration and the potential for a more equitable global future. The BRICS nations are economic powerhouses. They have experienced rapid economic growth in recent decades. China is now the world's second largest economy. India is not far behind. Brazil, Russia and South Africa are also major players in their regions. The rise of the BRICS has had a profound impact on the global economy. They have become major consumers of commodities and manufactured goods. This has driven up prices and benefited commodity exporting countries. BRICS nations have also become major investors. They are investing heavily in developing countries, particularly in Africa. The BRICS have also created new markets for businesses around the world. Companies are eager to tap into the growing middle classes in these countries. This has led to increased trade and investment between the BRICS and the rest of the world. The economic rise of the BRICS is not without its challenges. These countries face problems such as poverty, inequality and corruption. However, their economic weight is undeniable. they are reshaping the global economic order. The BRICS nations are not just economic powerhouses, they represent a significant portion of the world's population and landmass, and their economies are some of the fastest growing in the world. This group, consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, has been making waves on the global stage for more than a decade. They are also asserting themselves politically. The BRICS nations have been increasingly vocal in international forums, advocating for policies that reflect their interests and perspectives. This political assertion is not just about gaining influence, but also about ensuring that their voices are heard in global decision-making processes. They are challenging the traditional dominance of the West in global affairs. Historically, Western countries have held significant sway over international policies and institutions. However, the BRICS nations are pushing back against this dominance, advocating for a more multipolar world where power is more evenly distributed. This is evident in their foreign policy stances and their efforts to reform global institutions. They have been at the forefront of calls for changes in organizations like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, arguing that these institutions need to be more representative of the current global economic landscape. The BRICS countries often take a different view from the West on key international issues. This divergence is not just limited to economic policies, but extends to political and security matters as well. They have been advocating for a more balanced approach to global governance, one that takes into account the interests of all nations, not just the most powerful ones. For example, they have been critical of Western interventionism in countries like Libya and Syria. They argue that such interventions often lead to more harm than good, destabilizing regions and causing long-term damage. Instead, they advocate for solutions that are based on dialogue and respect for national sovereignty. They have also called for a more equitable global financial system. The current system, they argue, is heavily skewed in favor of developed nations, particularly the United States. They believe that a more balanced financial system would lead to greater stability and prosperity for all countries, one that is not dominated by the US dollar. The BRICS nations have been exploring alternatives to the dollar, including the possibility of creating their own currency for trade among themselves. This move is seen as a way to reduce their dependence on the US dollar and to protect their economies from fluctuations in its value. The BRICS nations are also working to increase their influence in international organizations like the United Nations. They believe that these organizations should be more reflective of the current global power dynamics, with greater representation for emerging economies. They believe that these institutions need to be reformed to reflect the changing balance of power in the world. This includes not only economic institutions, but also political and security organizations. The BRICS nations are advocating for a more inclusive approach to global governance, one that takes into account the interests of all countries. They want a greater voice for developing countries. The BRICS nations argue that the current global governance system is heavily biased in favor of developed nations. They believe that giving developing countries a greater say in international affairs would lead to more balanced and fair outcomes. The rise of the BRICS represents a challenge to the established world order. Their growing influence is reshaping the global landscape, creating new opportunities and challenges for all countries. As they continue to assert themselves, the world is watching closely to see how this new dynamic will play out. They are demanding a greater say in how the world is run. The BRICS nations are not content to sit on the sidelines. They want to be active participants in shaping the future of global governance. Their demands for greater representation and influence are being heard loud and clear. Their growing influence is shaping a new landscape of global power. As the BRICS nations continue to rise, they are likely to play an increasingly important role in international affairs. Their vision of a more balanced and equitable world order is one that resonates with many countries around the globe. While the BRICS nations share common interests, they are also distinct entities. Each country within the BRICS framework brings a unique set of characteristics, challenges, and opportunities to the table, making the alliance a fascinating blend of diverse strengths. Each member nation contributes its own strengths and weaknesses, creating a dynamic and multifaceted coalition. This diversity is both a strength and a challenge, as it requires careful coordination and mutual understanding to harness the collective potential of the group. Understanding their individual roles is key to grasping the full picture of BRICS's influence. Each country's unique position and capabilities add a layer of complexity and depth to the group's overall impact on global affairs. China, with its massive economy and military, is the undisputed heavyweight of the group. Its rapid economic growth and significant investments in technology and infrastructure have positioned it as a global leader. Its Belt and Road Initiative, a massive infrastructure project spanning continents, exemplifies its ambition to reshape global trade. This initiative aims to create a vast network of trade routes, enhancing connectivity and economic integration across Asia, Europe, and Africa. India, with its youthful population and burgeoning tech sector, presents a different kind of dynamism. The country's focus on innovation and technology has made it a hub for startups and a key player in the global digital economy. Its democratic values and non-aligned history give it a unique position within the group. India's commitment to democratic principles and its strategic autonomy allow it to navigate complex international relationships while maintaining its sovereignty. Russia, a major energy producer and military power, seeks to reassert its influence on the world stage. Its vast natural resources and strategic military capabilities make it a formidable player in global geopolitics. Its actions, however, are often seen as destabilizing, particularly in its relationship with the West. Russia's assertive foreign policy and military interventions have led to tensions and conflicts, impacting its global standing. Brazil, rich in natural resources and a leader in Latin America, aims to leverage its position for economic and political clout. The country's abundant natural wealth, including vast reserves of minerals and agricultural products, provides a strong foundation for its economic ambitions. Its environmental policies, however, have drawn criticism. The ongoing deforestation of the Amazon rainforest and other environmental issues have sparked global concern and debate about Brazil's commitment to sustainable development. South Africa, the newest member, brings its experience as a regional power and its commitment to multilateralism. The country's strategic location and its role as a gateway to the African continent make it a valuable member of the BRICS alliance. Its inclusion highlights the group's focus on the developing world. South Africa's participation underscores the importance of addressing the needs and aspirations of developing nations, promoting inclusive growth and development on a global scale.